STL. So again, pretty open floor, mate. Just have whatever you want to share with us. I'm sure you're well received, and if not, I guess we'll find out with the questions. But over to you, Bill.
Thanks very much. Thanks a lot. And hi everyone. Good evening. The 19 megabit per second global average is really interesting, and I mean the 10 megabytes in the UK is interesting. I don't even know which one. I get about 2. So yeah, obviously significant behind the curve. Great to see some familiar faces in the audience, but for those of you who don't know who I am, Phil Donigan from STL, based in Britain. What I'd like to talk to you about tonight is some of the work that we've been doing with rural business communities, specifically around delivering high speed, but also high quality business grade broadband. So for us, it's as you'll see, we don't really see broadband delivery as being about how to download the speed. It's as much the quality as the speed for some of the applications we're doing. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the considerations. I'm going to show you how our solution hangs together and put together. I'm going to give you a couple of Oxfordshire-based examples and examples of where we're actually delivering this solution to solve the problem. But I mean, cutting to the problem. I mean, the issue that we've got is that BT are in the process of rolling out super fast broadband across the country. That's not going to go everywhere, and specifically that's not going to go into lots of rural locations because there simply isn't a return on investment for BT to deliver. I think that's an absolutely fair comment.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so we've been working with a number of rural business communities in solving that problem for them. So STL are better known perhaps for delivering more traditional telephony solutions. So people know us for our Samsung telephone system services and wholesale BT services, lines and calls and things like that. But actually, over the last 7 or 8 years, we've been spending lots of time specialising in delivering business-grade broadband to organisations and effectively solving problems for people that standard off-the-shelf broadband products can't really solve. So effectively, we're an aggregator, and we work with people like BT, like Matthew Hare, like Virgin Media, Talk Business, people like that. So we use these guys to deliver infrastructure. We will then connect that infrastructure into our business grade ISP's network, and we'll deliver services down those connections. One thing that we've learned over the years is that quality is key. As I said a second ago, quality is absolutely key. So it's not all about how many megabits you can get download and upload. And actually, specifically, we see Ethernet as being a really key product. Now, Ethernet is a completely different kettle of fish to ADSL, DSL-based broadbands, fibre to the cabinet, BT Infinity, that type of thing. An Ethernet service is a completely guaranteed broadband service. It's typically delivered, although not always, typically delivered using fibre optic cable. And the key differences between that and what you could buy off the shelf from any other ISP, DSL-based service from an ISP, is that it's synchronous. And what synchronous means is that you get the same upload and download speed. You don't have a slow upload and a fast download speed. And Ethernet is also uncontended, which means that it doesn't slow down ever. If you buy a 30 meg Ethernet service, you will get a 30 meg Ethernet service in both directions all the time. And if it doesn't run a 30 meg, then it's in fault state, basically. Because of that, it comes with a bit of a price tag. It's not a low-cost service, but it is absolutely guaranteed. And we found that really Ethernet is the only way that we can deliver business-grade services like voice over IP and like access to cloud-based hosted applications reliably. Ultimately, we don't like selling services that we know will generate fault calls. And the way that we do that, we avoid generating fault calls, is that we focus on Ethernet as a product. So we have put together a product specifically that solves the slow broadband speed issue for rural businesses, and it hangs together like this. So effectively, what you have, this is an illustration of a fairly typical rural business park. What we have is we have a centralised Ethernet service, or otherwise known as a leased line. Typically, that will be 1,000 megabits fibre bearer or a gigabit bearer. So we install that into a centralised location. We'll then install some specific IT equipment that allows us to fractionalise that service, break it up, and effectively deliver chunks out to local businesses who'd like a share of that service. And we've got a number of different delivery methods available to us. So the optimum method of delivery is fibre optic, and that can either be delivered overhead using spans or using existing ducting, or in some cases we've actually dug new ducts to deliver fibre optic cables. We can also deliver using copper. Copper is great because it's really cheap, but it is distance dependent. So if we have a site that's quite close to the main site, to the host site, we can use copper cable, again overhead or underground, to deliver the service. And in cases where fibre and copper aren't viable, we can use wireless equipment, point-to-point wireless equipment. The key point with wireless equipment is it's not cheap. Point-to-point business-grade wireless equipment and point-to-multi-point wireless equipment can be quite expensive. We don't charge our customers for that equipment, so we will actually use our own cash to privately fund infrastructure, copper wire, fibre optic wire, and wireless equipment, and we'll actually recoup that over a fixed-term contract. But for an organisation to adopt this solution, typically there are no expensive upfront costs. So once we've done the infrastructure, we light up the service, we allocate bandwidth to tenants, and they get high-speed access to the internet, synchronous, high-speed, uncontended access to the internet. But that's not all they get. So yes, they have access to the World Wide Web, but they also then have access to a number of additional business-critical services that actually we see as being really business-critical services. The first one is voice over IP. As a business, and we're an independent supplier of business communications, what we used to do was sell lots and lots of BT wholesale services. Now, we sell more voice over IP than we do BT services, BT wholesale services. So, voice over IP this enables voice over IP, and the reason that a business would adopt voice over IP primarily actually is cost. A voice over IP service costs around somewhere in the region of 50% of what a typical wholesale BT ISDN line solution would cost. But there are also some really, really good disaster recovery and business continuity benefits to using voice over IP. So if you virtualise your numbers, you take them from BT, make the voice over IP numbers, you have control of them. So if we have an issue with access to your site, or a fire, or there's a weather event that means that you can't get to the office, you can, from a smartphone app or from the internet, divert your numbers on a live basis without additional costs. You can't do that with BT ISDN, wholesale BT ISDN or otherwise. You also have access to, or have the ability to, really reliably and on a supportable basis deliver hosted and virtualized applications. And I'm actually going to reference STL here. We're a really good example of this type of setup. So STL have a gigabit lease line coming to the building. We actually share that with 7 local businesses through a combination of wireless links and overhead fibre optic links. We use SIP trunking, we don't have any ISDN in the business, and we're a comms provider, so what we're using has to work all of the time. And we actually don't have any servers at STL apart from a couple of development machines. Our email server, our CRM server, our billing platform, our account server all live in the cloud. They're virtualized, so we don't have anything to manage on site. We know where it is, it's all fully managed, kept up to date, and we access that via our Ethernet line. So we're an absolute advocate for this. It works, and it has to because we're a service provider. In terms of who we've delivered this to, we've got a number of these schemes up and running and active across the country actually, but Oxfordshire-based ones that you may or may not have heard of include Walton Park over near Cassington, Bignell Park Barnes near Chesterton, and we work really closely with Steve, who you're going to hear from in a minute on that one. Long Hamborough is being installed as we speak. That's quite an interesting one because that's entirely wireless, and we have something like 17 businesses adopting that scheme across both the Long Hamborough Business Park and also the neighbouring Blenheim Office Park development. And we've done some work with Lockheed Estate involving wireless as well. So we've got this working extensively across the county, but also more widely across the UK. And I just wanted to flash up probably a reference site that I hope you'll all be really familiar with, which is the London 2012 Olympic Games. So we were fortunate enough to be involved in the Olympics project. I had to get this slide in there, my MD made me promise. So we were involved with the London 2012 Olympic Games, and we actually delivered in the region of 600 seats of voice and data services to the Olympics across both the main Olympic Stadium site and also a duplicated disaster recovery backup site. Now, the reason that that's relevant is that initially we had to deliver that service completely wirelessly. There were no ducts into the site. It was a lockdown site. We couldn't get BT access or anybody else's fibre optic access into the site, so we had to deliver all of that from a nearby STL customer's building. And it works seamlessly with zero downtime, and you know, obviously it was a pretty mission critical application, and it worked well. So, you know, that's just hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour for what we're able to achieve. But ultimately, and just in summary, we're really interested in talking to businesses who have problems with low broadband speeds, who don't necessarily want to invest in their own lease line, but if you do, we would be happy to talk to you. But you know, if you have slow broadband, if you don't want to buy a lease line, then there's every chance that we can help you out.
Super.
Okay.
Thank you,
Are there any
Phil.
questions at this point, or?
Very good.
I've got a question,
Yeah.
if that's okay. You mentioned about town centres
Yeah.
not having sort of like a broadband access. Is this something you'll be able to?
It is, yeah. Actually, a town
Do you know
centre
any of the
is-
questions? Sorry, about town centres getting super fast broadband.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, a town centre actually is a bit of an optimum opportunity for us. It's really, really easy to get. They're quite confined, and provided we can find a decent host, then yeah, I mean that's absolutely doable. Yeah, that would be likely to be a wireless type solution for kicking
It's really good.
in. Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
Very much. Matthew, do you have slides?
I do.
Oh, I'm going to say sitting here then. So next up is Matthew Hare from GigaClear, to hopefully, certainly pardon the pun, broaden my understanding of the problem and hopefully what we can do to solve it. So